taking you basics of GIS, and that is a QGIS, right? So before start his session, I request Pratyusha to introduce the today's speaker to the attendees. Pratyusha, please introduce to the audience.
Yes, sir. Am I audible, sir?
Yes, you are audible. Please go ahead.
Thank you, sir. Good afternoon, one and all. It gives me immense pleasure to introduce you all to the guest speaker, Dr. KBVN Phanindra. Dr. KBVN Phanindra did his BTech in Civil Engineering from KLCE, MTech in Hydraulics and Water Resource Engineering from IIT Kanpur, PhD in Water Resource Engineering from New Mexico State University, USA. He also holds a graduate minor in GIS from NMSU, USA. After PhD, Dr. Phanindra joined BITS Pilani in 2010 as an associate professor and later moved to IIT Hyderabad in 2011. Currently, he is working as an associate professor in civil engineering and also holds an associate dean position at IIT Hyderabad. Dr. Phanindra has graduated 1 PhD student and 5 master students so far. Currently, he is guiding 4 PhD students and 1 master's student. To his credit, he has published 23 internationally reputed journal articles, 2 book chapters, and presented at 20 plus national and international conferences. He has completed 4 sponsored research programs for worth more than 1.8 crores from DST, Ministry of Water Resources, Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology, and currently having 2 sponsored research programs, both from Ministry of Water Resources. He is also actively involved with consultancy projects in domains of geophysics, groundwater, hydraulics and water resources. Dr. Phanindra's research interests include hydrogeology and groundwater, soil-water crop interactions and ecosystem hydrology. It's an honor to have you here, sir. We extend our warm welcome to you.
Thank you, Pratyusha. I now request Phanindra, please take over the session.
Sure. Thank you, sir. First, thanks to Professor Srinivasulu garu for the invitation, and hope the sessions are going smooth. And actually, I'm presenting from 2 screens because my laptop is not supporting the QGIS platform. So I had my office desktop from where actually I'm presenting my QGIS, and then I will have the my voice and all coming through laptop. So if you have any issues, please let me know. Point number 1. And more importantly, this is actually more a basic level presentation with QGIS. Very fundamental thing wherein actually you will be exposed to the working of the functionalities of the software QGIS that helps you to gain more interest or more insights to get along with the QGIS. So actually, the prime advantage of QGIS is it's an open source software. So open source being actually the source code is open to the public. So you can develop your own plugins, you can develop your own tools to work with the GIS platform. And the software along with its tools, plugins comes for free of charge. So though it's mainly developed from research viewpoint wherein actually various spatial and GIS activities can be performed using this tool. So eventually what you are supposed to do, you need to first download the QGIS software. The link has been shown up here. I think it's not coming up. Okay, so here I have already loaded QGIS. Otherwise, what you can do, you can just simply go to, give me a minute. Seems the, all right. Hopefully you can see now. This is actually the components. I don't know whether you are able to see the Word file?
Yes, sir. We can see.
You can see the Word file?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, good. Thanks. So the you can first download the QGIS software from the QGIS site. Okay, yeah, it's coming with a delay here from on my system. So I have already done this one. Okay, so you can go here and you can say QGIS download. Okay, so it allows actually to the QGIS project, wherein actually you can download the QGIS, wherein if you see you have to go with a standalone version. So standalone version is more kind of desktop version with a 64 or a 32-bit system. Mostly nowadays the systems are coming up with a 64-bit system. So you have to download this version, or it's a long-term release repository, which is actually more it's kind of a more verified or validated version of the QGIS in comparison to the latest release, because latest release may have much more additional features, but actually it may not be effectively validated. It's mostly kind of a beta version. So it's always better you go with the long-term release repository, QGIS standalone installer software on your once you have downloaded this one, okay, okay, I have already done this one, so I just go to the my search bar window and I will go activate my QGIS desktop, the latest version 3.10.3. So we are going with a long-term release version of QGIS. Yeah. So here you have actually various information or the advertisements here. So it has mainly the browser window, the left top one. The browser window it's actually takes you with the drives and other the locations from where you can browse your files. And the layers, whatever the files you have selected here, they will be displayed over here. You also have a toolbox on the right and you have a working window at the center. This is all the working window. So you can even close the toolbox, but still you can go here and again make it open. That means actually, even if you miss something, okay, so you can always add those things from this main the tools. Okay, you have this is actually the drop down toolbars, the project where you can add a new project or where you can open an existing project. You can open from multiple locations, or if you have done a recent working, you can open a recently opened files. You can save the files, or you can even see the file properties of the files and so on. You can also perform a lot many edit options. You can edit the features or edit the files. You can also view the map or its related contents. You can also add layers, in the sense actually if you want to add maybe shapefile layers or actually raster layers and all. Okay, you can also add some plugins, existing plugins, or you can develop your own plugins in this one. You can do some analysis using the vector data sets. You can do some analysis on the raster data sets. You can also do the analysis on the database management system. Okay, web-based and mesh calculator processing. You can use some toolboxes, and then so finally you can also get the help commands. These are actually my suggestion is you can keep referring to these tools with the existing files, so that you will be able to understand the functionalities or the working conditions of these tools. Apart from this, actually you have many tools. Okay, you can have the expandable window here. You click here. Okay, cartography can perform all these operations on the maps, database, file tools, graphics. Okay, so you have a lot many tools that are pre-existing tools developed that can be applied or that can be used for your application. Okay, so to start with, let me go with a simple project where what I can do it open the file from multiple ways. In a multiple ways, you go to projects, you can go to open, and I have the test one data, task one data, okay, which has a folder in it and which has subfolders in it, and I have many folders, and these are all the QGIS files. So the QGIS files are QGIS project files, which are kind of a, you can also have kind of a green yellow combination ones. The whole objective is this is actually direct QGIS map. Let me open the latest version, which is version number 3. Yeah, so the status of the progress, you can see at the bottom, the progress of adding that one. Okay, so now actually the map has been added. So this is actually, if you see, when I open that one, you can see that there are multiple layers here. There are multiple layers. That means, though I say that it's a version 3 file, project file, it has many sub layers in it. For example, Jet5 is being highlighted. Jet5 is actually the map developed at 1 to 18 meter scale. I can deselect this one, or I can select Jet4. Jet4 is the same map at 1 to 36 scale. Jet3 is the same map at 1 to 74 scale. So the way the map has been prepared, the way the map has been prepared is the map contains multiple number of layers at different scales. Okay, if you are not working with few layers, you better actually turn off those layers or deselect those layers, so that actually your computational runtime or actually the activation time will be very bit fast. Now you understand that this map is coming along with the map. You're also coming up with some attributes or the tables, but actually the text is in a different language. Okay, so if you want to check that one, I can go to projects and I can go to the properties of the project, because I'm looking at the properties of this project, and I will go to the variables, how the variables have been defined, all the broad project variables. These features are all related to the project variables. So the project file name, it says actually the project coordinate reference system is this one. The distance unit is in degrees. Probably you are able to hear me, right?
Yes, funny. Yeah.
Thank you. So if you see here, project language, here the project language name is given as name underscore EL. EL refers to Espanol. So let me replace that with EL replace with, say, suppose EN, which is English. Let me say apply and say okay. Now let me just refresh this one. Now I see that actually these text things are replaced or presented in English. So the good thing with QGIS, which is not the property of other GIS based softwares, is it has inbuilt database system that can actually switch between the languages. For example, let me go here, go to projects, go to properties, and go to variables. And in the project language, instead of EN, if I write HI, and I will actually refresh this page. Now what happened? The project variables were showed in Hindi. The HI is the first two letters is actually, there are some specific the languages by which actually all the variables of the project can be quickly defined. So you don't need to make all these things. Okay, of course, the bottom line here is actually the project properties or project variables are in such a way that you don't need to work too much on the cosmetic part or actually the other parts, which is obviously taken care by the software itself. Okay, so that's actually the beauty of this GIS tool. So what is happening here? This is actually the map of the United States. Of course, you have a number of tools available here in this at this location. Pan the map is actually where actually it doesn't change the scale, but it will allow you to move the cursor. So the scale is not changing. You can see here the scale is remains the same, but the coordinates will keeps changing. Whereas the zoom in or zoom out are the cases where the scale is keep changing, right? Zoom in I'm doing here, or zoom out. Zoom in or zoom out actually will allow me to quickly change the scale of the map, just for my quick reference or quick understanding. Whereas actually this zoom to full extent will allow to see the full map of the region. So this is actually my full map of the region. Of course, because you have highlighted multiple layers, it is taking too much time. Otherwise, it won't take much time. So this is the fullest extent. Let me zoom exactly to the study area. Let me go to this one. This is the map of India. Right. So here, this is no zoom features. I will try here. If you see here at Z5, I have multiple subfiles. That is why this triangle is showing. That's an expandable thing. If I go here, okay, it has multiple things. Admin 0 capitals, admin 0 capital altitude, admin 0 region capital, admin 1 capital. I have removed all these things. Okay, so let me add one of the other so that you will be knowing what is each layer and all are containing. For example, this scientific station, populated places. Yeah, so these are all the populated places that can be showed up over here. Okay, and admin 1 region capital. Nothing has been shown. Admin 1 capital. So it should be the state capitals. Admin 0 region capital, not shown. So here what you can do, these are all actually the sub layers or sub files contained by the file name any underscore 10 meters populated places, right? So here within this one, if I can deselect this one, nothing is being visualized. If I deselect this, that means actually it is actually the selecting or deselecting will make you to visualize or not visualize a specific file or a specific folder, right? What else we can do? Of course, you can actually check this one. If you double click on this one, okay, if you double click on this one, you can actually change the properties of that particular representation. For example, all my capitals are given in a squared color. So what you can do, you can double click on this one. You can actually make it into whatever it is, of whatever color it is. Okay, and whatever angle, of course, for circle angle doesn't make any sense. Of the size, you can decrease the size, so that the colors or the symbolic representation of the attributes keeps changing. Okay, so it's too heavy for me. Okay, so like this, you can highlight or you can select or deselect a few or multiple variables, right? So here, map themes you can manage, or even you can the layer theme properties you can also try, right? So you are under, you selected this one. Okay, you can change the theme, you can change this color representation, or maybe for this one, Okay, so you can change the color representation. Okay, and so on. So point is, you can also represent them in terms of graduated colors or categorized colors. Means if you have some data which could be categorized into multiple conditions, multiple cases with different cases, you can do that one using these tools. This is actually the layer styling. Layer styling will tell you how to style your layers, how to style the properties of your layers. Okay. And for example, if I want to prepare or if I want to create the map of this region, or you have many other things actually. You can even, let me just, okay. So if I want to say, for example, I have too many, which I don't want to do. For example, for this one, okay, so admin 1 capital means it's a state capital. Okay, so I can even select some in the components of the parts of the table using select feature attribute component or select attribute component. For example, this is the attribute table. Attribute table is the one that actually attribute table is the one that corresponds to the table or tabular information or non-spatial information corresponding to a given spatial file. So this is the attribute table of this particular shape file, places Z file, because my Z5 is actually being underlined or activated. If my Z4 is actually being activated, and if I go with the attribute table, okay, the corresponding attribute table will be highlighted. The corresponding n 50 meters populated places will be highlighted. Are you able to follow, or is there any time lag between the presentation and the screen?
So,
Yes?
no, sir.
Okay. Okay, again I'm repeating, this is a very basic or introductory level presentation with QGIS for those who want to gain an expertise or knowledge into QGIS such that they can start using the using the tools. So selecting the features, if you see here, select features, you can select features by polygon. That means you can make a polygon, and then the last click will tell you will allow you to stop here. And what happens, you can select actually the information that are all the features within that polygon, right? For example, let me select features by expression. I can also select the features by expression. Right now, I'm in the file name called ne_50 meter populated places, where I will go to the fields and values, and I will say the population maximum. If I'm selecting an attribute called population, and if I get the unique values, okay, I will say all the population values greater than, say, suppose 1 lakh population. These are the selected cities which are having a population of, say, suppose 10 lakhs, if I say. Yeah, some cities will not show up on maybe 1 crore, if I say. Many cities will not show up. Okay, just a minute. Okay, so this will allow us actually to select the features which are having a population of, or actually the that is meeting a criteria. Okay, I can even select these things. Okay, that may help us actually to separate out that particular feature or perform any analysis on that one. I can also select the features using the table. Okay, I can go to the table. From here also I can actually use the equation or actually the condition for whatever may be the population. Okay, is equals to say suppose. Oh, I think this is an adding, not adding the field. Okay. Maybe I will show it very shortly in the next another assignments, where the whole intention here is actually not to showcase everything, not to showcase everything here. So you can deselect everything so that actually only very few can be displayed. You can also print a map. For example, let me just uh, restrict to this location. This is where actually I am located. Where I want to give just this. Okay, so if I want to print this map, actually I can do so by going to projects and going to a new print layouts. Maybe you can give the title. This is actually the title of the map. And what you can do, first you can go to an add item and add a map. Add map will give you the region within which you may have to add the map. For example, this is the place where then it will start rendering. So it will, you can even take this from here. That will allow you to show this particular map on the layout window. The layout window is actually, the print window is the one where you can actually use it for the print purpose. Whatever that is actually here, okay, you have to ensure that these things will be reflected in the print window. Okay, and you can also add many other things. You can add maybe you can add a scale bar. And item properties. So here, okay, multipliers I'm giving as kilometers. Instead of that, you can even give in meters or miles. And the units, fixed width units 250. You can give something like maybe 500 units. Right. So display how the unit has to be, what should be the lane width instead of lane width, I can have only 0.2 meters. So if you see the clearly, I can see the change in the width of the line. Line means the outer boundary. Okay. The font and the colors. See, bottom line here is actually, if you want to change anything, okay, you just go there and double click, you will get actually the item properties. Whatever the item you have selected, that particular properties, you can actually go here and you can keep changing. Right. So here you can use you can even see what I have to use. Okay, instead of MI, let me use capital MI. Okay, so whatever that's there actually, that will be represented on the scale bar. So you can even add add item. Maybe you can add a north arrow. You can add any defined shape. Okay, so you can add this one. You can even add another embedded map, another map. Okay, only thing is you have to first maybe assume you may have to look only the Hyderabad map, then you can actually zoom this in, then go to add map.
Then go to the. Oh, கடை தான் பண்ணிட்டு இருக்கோம்.
So the Hyderabad map is also being shown here. So you can give the title, whatever the title you are given. Those things you can actually show up. Scale bar, you can add arrow, and you can even add a link, HTML link, and other things. So bottom line is this you can call it as a working window. This is the working window, and the other one is actually layout window. So the layout window, the whole objective is to print the map in the required format with all the titles, scale, arrow, and all. And you can even export that map. You can go to layout, you can export that as an image or a PDF, or you can even set up the page and then you can take the print. Okay, how it should look like, okay, and so on. Whether it should be in the portrait format or the so here, what we are doing in the layout window, you are getting multiple items. One is map to. Map to means this big, the smaller one, which is already this is the beauty of QGIS or any GIS application. When you select an item, the associated item on this window will also be highlighted. The north arrow is this one, the scale bar is this one, and the map one is this one. So here you can also lock them. You can also lock them means you cannot change them anymore. You cannot change them anymore. And if you double click, you can even give them names. And for this one, you can even check the item properties. What is the scale of this map? You can even change the scale, maybe 30,000. Right now you can very clearly see the map scale has been changed tremendously. And you can also check the coordinate system, whether it's in the geographic system or the projected coordinate system. And you can also check the layers, what is the X minimum value, maximum value. So the extent, X minimum, X maximum, Y maximum represents the extents, whether what is the minimum, maximum coordinates. And you can also present in the grid system, you can also add a grid. Okay, the modifying the grids, whether my grid should be at what scale, maybe at interval, say suppose 10, and okay, I'm sorry, it's actually see what happened. Map to means it's Hyderabad, so the map scale has been changed. So I will go back to the top, and then I will select the scale. These are the layout properties. These are the properties of the layouts. Okay, the layout, grid spacing, and all. These are the properties of the item which has been selected, which is actually shown as blue highlighted here. And appearance and grid enabled. You can enable the grid frame. Xmin, Xmax, scale, let me change the scale again, maybe 30,000, no, 3,000. So you can actually play around the scale. See, for example, I select map 1. Okay, if I just remove one point here, the scale has been changed. Right. So the point here is in the layout, whenever you select a particular item, map item, you will see all its item properties at the bottom. You keep trying. Okay, so suppose 45. What happens if I rotate this one? My map by 45 degrees. Sorry, I mean 42. So let me rotate this by 45. This is how the same map rotated by 45 looks like. This is the same map which is actually north-south showing grid looks like. Extents also you can change minimum, maximum. You can add the grids. You can add the grids, modify the grids. Maybe at say suppose 100. See, the map units are meters. Okay, since map units are meters, okay, this is what this is 1 kilometer up to here, so 100 kilometers. Every 100 kilometers, I have a grid cell. So you can even have it every 1,000 kilometers, so that you may have a bit more clear grids. Okay, you can also showcase those grids. Okay, you can create this entire thing in a frame. Okay, so you can draw the coordinates and so on. So for each item, for example, north arrow where I have to keep it, okay, top center. What should be its stroke color? Stroke color could be something like this. See, in medicine, things have been changed, right? Similarly, the scale bar things could be scale bar is looking like here. Whenever you select any item, its properties are shown below. Okay, so when you are done with all your things, okay, you can log the item properties so that things will be very means you can actually that's good enough for print. Okay, you can export the map into a JPEG or an image and then take a print of this one. So this first task is all about actually, okay, if someone has already prepared a QGIS file or its content layers, shape files and so on, how to open, how to view various properties, how to perform some simple actions, and then how to go into a layout window or layout view and then take a print is all about what we can go with. Any questions after this one before I move to the next one?
Hello.
Yes.
Sir, from where to open project manager window?
Yes, sir.
Sir, from which option we have to open
Project manager, right? Projecting.
Yes.
Yeah. So if you see here, okay, the right bottom corner has the current projection system. Okay. Can you see it here? EPSG 4326. You can double click on this one. That will tell you actually the current projection systems. Okay. And then you can use the specific projection coordinate system by selecting the appropriate ones. Is this clear?
Yes.
The
Sir.
bottom right corner. See,
Okay,
actually, if you see, just understand the components. You have the browser window to know the files and also the layers, what are being selected or being used. And this is the working window, and this is actually the toolbox. And at the bottom, you have actually wherever your cursor is there, its coordinates, lat longs, and the scale and the magnifier, its rotation and rendering, and the coordinate system are being displayed at the bottom. Okay, let me go with another project file. I can go to projects. Oh, sorry, not new, open existing one, and I will go to test 2 data. Okay, of course, which does not have any QGIS files. So project open will only open the QGIS files, right? So what you can do, you can go here. You can directly go to the location where it is located, desktop, task 1. No, it's not task 1. So let me minimize, it's task 2. Okay, the beauty of QGIS is actually it will access the zip files directly, which you cannot do it with many other GIS based softwares. So it has what global power plant data, 10-meter land and 10-meter populated data. So this is, if you just, okay, let me just expand because this is something more interest to me. This is actually what the zip file has, a shape file and two text files. A shape file is actually a shape file is actually the spatial entity which has its coordinates and also the database associated with that one. You can just simply drag it or you can double click. Anything is fine. So what it has, whenever you drag it or double click, what is happening in the layer, whatever you drag, it will come up. That means the which layer that you are actually being highlighted, that is actually underlined. So here I can double click to know its properties, the properties of the layer. What are the fields it contains? It contains the fields fields is something like a columns. What columns it is containing? Scale rank, label rank, name, okay, and world city, mega city, admin zero name, and so on. Okay, okay. This is one. Maybe you can deselect. If I want to know what it really means, okay, let me just go here and okay, this is specific India. This I represents an identifier tool. So identifier tool will help me to identify what the feature is. Okay, okay, this is actually now I can understand that this is actually name represents the name of a town or city, and it's not maybe it's admin. Admin represents actually the admin zero name means the country name. Admin one name means the state name. Lat long is actually the lat long of that particular location of the state. Now, if I want to see, when I select this one, only one city has been selected. If I go here, that particular city will be selected. So what happens? I can even select multiple cities like this. I can, when I do any operation, uh, any spatial operation or attribute operations will be performed only on the selected features.
पहले देखो ये हाल है यार तो आगे क्या हाल होगा
Let me select all these features.
ये पहले से सीखे नहीं रहने थे
ओपन हो गया
हाँ
माइक और वीडियो ओपन हो गया
I can even also select the features using maybe a polygon. I can draw a polygon and the cities within that polygon can be selected. I can also select by a freehand. Like this. If I don't want to select anything, this is actually a deselected feature I can activate so that whatever the selected features are there, those things will be gone away. Okay, so you can also use a field calculator to know something about the fields. These are the fields. Okay, go to the fields and values. Okay, so see, I came to know that the population, if at all I have a population max, when you double click, actually it comes in the expression window. Say suppose greater than 1 lakh, or say suppose unique values. These are all the population values. Okay, so you can even select like this. Output you have 1. Or you can even do one thing. You can actually select features by expression. So you define your own expression. For example, go to fields and values, go to population max, and say greater than. So suppose 1 lakh. Select features. So these are all actually the features which are having population greater than the 1 lakh, or even say if I say These are the cities which has a population greater than 10 lakhs. If I say this, these are the cities I don't have, okay, I have only one or two. Okay, so I have this city, which I can do it by going with identity, invert selection. I can go with by doing the invert selection or deselections things. So select feature, this select feature tool will help you to select the features using some expression. Okay. Okay. It's only the color combination has been selected. Okay. They are not selected actually, in fact. Okay, so they are just not selected. They were given a different thing. Okay, makes sense. Okay, now the point is you can select the features by using the select feature option here. You can also select the features using the table option. For example, here I can go here. Okay, so you can go to the open attribute table. You can see these are the attribute tables. Now this expression epsilon shows the expression. You can give that expression, and I can say that the fields, the population max is greater than lakhs. So select feature. Okay, so the beauty here, actually here, if you see, both the map entity has been selected and also the table entity has also been selected. Okay, both map and table will be selected when you perform a spatial entity tool. So here I will deselect everything here. No, I deselected everything. So the bottom line is you can perform a lot many. See, I can even use the measure tool to say, okay, what could be the distance here, which is actually being displayed in the first segment. Okay, so this is actually the distance here. If I click on right, if I make a right click, then it will automatically be disconnected. Okay, I can show the distance in meters or other things and so on. Okay, so that this helps me quickly to understand what could be the point is the spatial entities or the spatial features can be quickly. There are a lot many inbuilt tools that you can use for example, if there is a vector. Let me use a geocrossing. Let me give a buffer. Give a buffer of, say, suppose 10. Of course, it's in degrees because the coordinate system is in the EPSG, WGS 1984. So you can make it as maybe 2-degree buffer or 1-degree buffer. If I say, so I will have 1-degree buffer. I have created a one new layer called buffer. So the point here is this buffer actually contains a polygons having a buffer around the particular points with a specified buffer distance. Okay, you can even double click this one and get its information, get its symbology. Okay, you can change the colors and representation and so on. So that will help actually to these are actually the buffers to around each city, okay, with a given radius of 10 degrees. Okay, so if you don't want, you can even, this deselecting is mainly to ensure that you file is there in that one, but you are not highlighting it. Okay, so here what you can do, if I select a few, for example, if I select a few using maybe any expression, for example, select by features by value, okay, you can do that one, or let me do it simply with a freehand. Yeah, so let me select features by expression. So it will also say how many matching features have been selected. What I can do, where are those things? Oh yeah. Okay. So what I'm doing wrong thing is actually I'm selecting from the buffers, not from the cities. Okay. So when I have to be a little more careful from where actually I'm doing that one, because which file has been underlined. That makes sense. Okay. Because earlier when I'm doing this analysis, I have underlined buffered. So obviously the analysis is being done for this one. So a few locations have been selected here. What I can do, if I want to create a new shapefile out of that one, you can right click on this one, you can export. You can export, say, selected features as a new geo package or a shapefile or an AutoCAD DXF format file and GeoSN format and so on. So this will help actually to uh, get the subset of a particular file. Okay, you can even get the subset of a particular file out of this one. Okay, so let me quickly go with another one. I cannot open from here because it's not a QGIS project. Okay, I can add that one. Okay, so if you are familiar with ArcGIS, the functionalities are pretty very similar. Okay, so it won't take much time for you to get on to with this one. Let me. No, because there are no QGIS files. Okay. This is another good thing actually. You can directly access the zip folder. Okay. Let me see. I have a TIFF file here. So this is the TIFF file. TIFF file means it's a raster file. You can see it's here. Maybe you can, once you have it here, you can go to here. You can see its properties. Okay. So it's a grayscale image, black and white or a grayscale image. Or it's bit information is actually it's extended minus 180 degrees to plus 180 degrees. That means the entire east to west and also 63 to 90 completely. And it's in a GeoTIFF format file and a single band image. Okay. And the band, no data value is assigned so and so number. You can even change the color gradients. Okay. It's all, of course, it's only for representation purpose. The histogram, you can actually compute the histogram where the band one data values are pretty much peaked over only in this region with this one. Okay, so pyramid building will ensure the representation So the source will also be represented as the source representation of the coordinate system, and the values are mainly from 0 to 7088. So if I information histogram, if I say, yeah, the values are only between yeah, it's actually going to represent actually the data distribution 0 to 7088. Okay, and what you can also add is there is a shapefile. Okay, so which is actually showing the, maybe if you are not very clear, you can actually increase the thickness. And you can also right click and zoom to layer to know the extent. Okay, this is actually the railroad network for US, contiguous US, of course, including the detached portions. Okay, so point is, I can also check its properties. Go to the properties and see how the symbols are being represented. What is the color and all. I can also go to the fields. Okay, and mainly the labels. How the labels have been. Of course, no labels have been mentioned. Like very similar to what was mentioned in the very first example file. Okay, so here the point is you can add a new component into the table, or you can add a new field using the editor tools and all, or you can also perform some field calculation things. Of course, here you can't do anything because most of them are pretty text based information. You have another one where there's another TIFF file. What is this TIFF file? This is okay. The population count is the population count in 2000, and this is the population count in 2015. Okay, so you can actually quickly check the symbology. You can even check the color representation, multicolor bands. Of course, it has only one band to go with. And no, it's just for us. Okay, so there are many other functionalities that also you can think of with vector shape files, the processing tools, maybe buffer or difference, dissolving multiple polygons into one, symmetric difference between two polygons, union and all. The raster files also you can perform the projecting the rasters or analyzing the rasters. Okay, if you have an elevation model, you can perform various elevation based operators analysis. You also have a number of toolbox components where you can perform a number of operations on your shape files or the raster files. For example, conversion tools, you can use it mainly to convert a map to a raster or another things, or vector creations. You can even create a array, create a grid. If someone want to work with a modeling aspects, like wherein actually they are defining a very maybe a regular or domain from where they want to create the shape files for the use with the data points. They can go with this one. Maybe I can have my 0 to 1000, and y is also 0. This is also 1000. Horizontal spacing can be, say, suppose 10. Vertical spacing can be 10, something like this, and then I can run. So I got a grid here where actually the whole intention of this grid is actually mostly this is actually the if your model is something more like actually the if your model is something you want to analyze or estimate the data only at the nodes or the elements, okay, which is a very comfortable feature that you can, the grid cells are actually the nodes associated with your model, can be given the shape based features to work with your numerical models. You can perform network analyst, and you can perform the interpolation tools. I inverse distance weight method in interpolation, where if you have the data points and you can actually generate the heat maps. It can also perform the raster analysis, and it can perform the vector geometry based buffer polygons, create all these things and so on. If you see, these are all the many multiple tools that you can apply on vector files or the raster files, such that that will help you to geoprocess your files to work with your specific application. And there are also options that you can actually bring your, for example, if I want to bring some predefined data sets, or actually the text data sets, into a shape file, I can do so by adding I can actually using this data source manager, okay, or I can even go with where is this layer data source manager, okay, and delimited text. Okay, so let me just add some file, okay, with maybe I don't know where it is. Okay, so to see that one, first I need to, for such things, because it's not a shape file, I have to unzip the folder, and then I have to access the text file. Okay, so essentially this tool is something more like actually to add maybe a CSV file or a tab delimited or a comma delimited file. Okay, CSV and other delimited files. Okay, this delimitation could be tab, comma, or whatever it is, to bring into a shape file, provided those files are having the geographical positional information like latitude, longitude, or XY coordinates and so on. Okay, so I will stop here. This is again, I'm reiterating, this is a kind of a very introductory presentation in QGIS that helps you to understand the or give an overview of actually various tools, functionalities that helps you to start working with QGIS at the entry level. So with this, sir, actually, I will stop here with your permission. Sir, I stop my presentation.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir. So,
Any
participant,
questions?
if you have any questions, please ask your. Unmute yourself and you can ask your question.
Yeah, there is a question. Can it be integrated with flood modeling tools? Yes, because the very benefit or an advantage of a QGIS is that actually you can develop your own plugin tools, plugins, that helps to solve a customized application. I think one team at IIT Hyderabad is working on that one. I'm not very sure, but yes.
Funny, there are a few queries from my end actually. The first query is like that you have shown your already available project in your local drive. So in that we have seen many attributes in your files.
Yeah.
All these attributes, how that has been created in your map actually. So for suppose if I take some image, JPG image, and if I try to do attributes, is that possible in QGIS? In what way that we need to arrive that file with stacked attributes?
Right. So you meant to say how to create the attributes?
Yes, because these are all predefined attributes. We don't know for whatever the project we work and what are the attributes that we want to add there. I mean, definitely I don't want to see all these attributes. I want to see only specific attributes which related to the project. In that sense, like in what way that we need to do in QGIS?
Okay, so because it's a very entry level, actually, I could not spend more into the details, but adding the attributes option can be done in QGIS, where actually you keep adding the, there is a way that you go to the attribute table and keep the attribute information, point number one. Or there is a way you can extract the subset of an attributes that contains very specific information that is related to the required for the project.
Okay, whereas nowadays there are so many softwares in industry like Civil 3D softwares, which is coming from Autodesk. In Civil 3D also we can extract these attributes and all. So there itself we will tag that all those attributes to its georeferenced kind of thing that we will tag in Civil 3D itself. In that sense, like this QGIS is how far that is advantage than the Civil 3D.
Oh,
Because
okay.
QGIS having limited options, but Civil 3D is very vast software and which has many more options, and we can tag
Right.
them.
Because
Yeah.
I completely agree with you, but actually because QGIS is a completely an open source and research motivated developed software, maybe the functionalities maybe not to the level of the extent of a commercial softwares.
And one more quick thing, funny, like, is there any delineation of catchments under this QGIS? For suppose I'm having certain, a regional map which is having like Z elevation also, and based on that, can we draw the delineation which is covering all the primary and the secondary and tertiary rivers, all those things? It's like a kind of delineating the catchment area for the particular gauge.
Right. Yes, I
Is
think
that
yes.
something that we can do it? Because generally when we do a big hydrological analysis, that generally we go for some point there and we'll find the catchment area, what exactly the contribution towards that gauge discharge station actually. So in that sense, quickly that if we can draw a catchment boundary for that location, that will be really helpful for us to take that area and put that in rational formula and all those things, right? We have
Right.
different rational formulas, so that we need the catchment area. So that is the biggest challenge in nowadays when we are doing for these hydrological studies for water resources projects. We can do it but thing is, like, we need to collect all the topo maps and we need to digitize them, and we need to
Right.
do
Yeah.
instead of that. Is there any other ways to get it done very quickly through QGIS?
I don't think so. But actually, the conventional way is actually to identify get the survey topo sheets and then go with the elevation profiles, and then actually see the catchment area actually that is being served by a particular gauge. I don't think so, actually,
But
but I'm
I'm
not
doubt
very sure.
funny that it's quite possible, I guess. But I don't know. Morning we had a session with NRSC PVR someone, and who mentioned about these some kind of remote sensing data which shows about elevations and other things for the ground. We can we
Okay.
use the data in your QGIS as a shape file, and we can analyze. I feel I'm not sure. That's
Okay.
what I
No,
want.
even I'm not very sure, actually.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah,
Yes.
okay, okay. Fine. Thanks, Funny.
Yeah. Right, sir. Yeah. There are a couple of questions, but most of the questions, the answer is actually that the pretty answer is actually that most of the customized applications can be solved or can be analyzed using QGIS, because nowadays actually the plugins, the customized plugins that are being developed actually will solve most of the applications. There are many multiple cases. For example, recently actually one from IT Bombay, they have developed a customized plugin for the complete watershed management and also its related sediment transport analysis and all. And other teams are also coming up with flood management systems, because the tools that you can develop using the Python will help you actually to work specific to or develop the plugin specific to your customized problem.
Sir, I had a doubt, sir. I'm faculty of Kids Warangal. But sir, actually, when we are like working on this, yeah, just saying like plugins, whatever we use generally. So how to know, sir, like for our purpose of work we are doing, like from where do we get these plugins and how can we collect them?
Very good question. There are two kinds of plugins I can say. One is actually the system built plugins, actually where you will get them in the QGIS help domain, and many multiple other customized plugins where you can get in the GitHub. GitHub is another source where actually you can get the customized plugins, and then you just actually extract those things for your application.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Well, actually, let me also be more clear. Actually, I have a very basic experience working with QGIS, which I'm not very comfortable, but start gaining it actually. So QGIS has its own advantages in terms of many tools and applications. Only thing is we need to explore them.
Any other questions?
Yeah, I cannot see much.
So funny, Indra, there is one question in chat box in absence of topo sheet. Did you answer this question, Panindra?
No, where I'm just checking the questions.
Yeah.
So which version of QGIS is the best one?
Mr. Surender has written.
Surender, is any flood modeling tools are available in QGIS? Specifically, I guess no, but because most of the flood models actually they have a tight coupling or integration with RGIS, but QGIS are also, I think they are coming up.
No, this question is in absence of topo sheet, how to delineate a basin?
Oh, yeah, I can see it now.
Yeah.
In the absence of the topo sheet, how to delineate a basin? If it is delineating through DEM processing, how to cross check?
DEM accuracy.
How to cross check the DEM accuracy? Okay, so again, DEM accuracy. DEM accuracy, I feel actually uh, for example, mostly what it depends on the application. For example, what sometimes we do actually that we will have actually the ground control data points actually for which the data will be validated at the ground truth locations or ground control points, or there are some methods by which actually you can get the vertical accuracy or vertical resolution. I'm not I'm not very confident of the methods, but what I can
No, funny actually. The QGIS, like we can I mean import the files which have been developed by Civil 3D, where we can see the land XML. The other guy was saying like what is that, DEM, digital elevation model. Which means that it has all the Z directional elevations. So based on that, we can definitely develop in QGIS what exactly the ridge line and up to what extent that catchment basin can be delineated. That we can delineate manually, but I'm not sure whether it can be populated automatically from QGIS or not. That's what I asked you before his question. Definitely based on DEM model, we can definitely see that ridge lines and other things for all the primary rivers, secondary rivers, tertiary rivers, and based on that we can completely delineate the boundary for the catchment manually. That we can do it definitely, but
Fanindra?
Yes, if for example, I think the question is more about actually how to check the vertical accuracy of the DEM, or its question is actually the accuracy of the DEM data itself, or actually the watershed boundary that is delineated from a DEM.
But point is like DEM has been developed from which software actually? So there that has been developed through Civil 3D or some other software.
Yeah.
So that we don't know.
Right, yeah. So the DEM can be developed using maybe through, say, for example, a LiDAR survey, or actually maybe a DGPS or any other, or even the microwave band C or X bands SRTM DEM elevation data sets, or maybe any raster based images. The quality of the DEM is actually can be validated with some ground control points, but the derived products, the secondary products derived from a DEM, maybe like the watershed boundaries or actually the ridge lines, maybe can also be validated with survey of this. The topo sheets could be point number one, but also the ground truthing can also be another option to go with.
Fanindra, this is Dr. Venkat Reddy.
Hey, Venkat Reddy, hi.
Yeah, how are you? Yeah, regarding this question like how to delineate the basin, there are some hydrology tools are there in the QGIS. With those tools, actually the basin boundary can be delineated.
Okay.
Again, sir. So from the, I think fundamental, like from digital elevation model can be taken as input. From there, all the things can be made actually, flow direction, flow accumulation, watershed boundary, everything can be done actually.
Yes. Mostly, even I feel that actually the sink representation or actually the flow accumulation, the other things could be taken from the given elevation. Yes, I agree with that one.
సార్ ఒకటి వస్తుంది సార్ ఎవరి దగ్గర నుంచి టింగ్ టింగ్
So if there is no questions, we will close the session and we will start another session.
Okay. Yeah. Again, I'm saying actually that my expertise in this one is a bit. You please start explaining the JS functionalities.
Okay, Fanindra, thank you very much.
Okay, sir.
Thank you.
Thanks, Fanny. Yeah, thank you all.
So, my dear participants, shall we take a 5 minutes break and start another session, third session? Venkat Reddy, Associate Professor, NIT Varangal, will be taking the next session. Shall we continue or you want 1 5 minutes break?
So we can have 5 minutes.
We can continue, sir.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello. Srinivas garu. Yeah.